my name is Carolyn. I'm a creative entrepreneur and retired comedian who loves to talk about the startup and tech world. Today I want to talk about Nextdoor, the strange social media app that your nosy neighbors are using to start turf wars over politics, lawn quality, and their missing cats. Will Nextdoor become obsolete like its boomer users, or will it surprise us all and become one of the biggest social media giants in the space? Today, we're gonna find out. We're gonna have some fun today. What? Here's what you need to know. To the moon! To the moon! Let's get started. Nextdoor is a social media app that is designed to help neighbors share local news, support local businesses, and to exchange goods and services. Basically, it's like the best place to figure out who's the best plumber in town. Everybody needs to have a good plumber, and everybody on Nextdoor knows which one is the best. Or at least in my experience, Nextdoor does seem to be the go-to app for helping to find your missing cats. Seriously, it is a severe epidemic. I'm seeing at least 7 to 9 cats go missing every week. What? How are people losing so many of their cats? Are the cats just deciding that they no longer want to be tied to their owners? Perhaps. Nextdoor was founded in 2011 and is currently in over 275,000 neighborhoods and 11 countries. Nextdoor was technically founded by 4 especially experienced entrepreneurs: Nirav Toila, Sarah Leary, Prakash Janakiraman, and David Wyson. The company was spun out of Benchmark, a leading venture capital firm who's worked with startups like Uber, Snapchat, and WeWork. However, the founding of the company gets a little bit more complicated than that, and it's all because of the original founder, Nirav Toila. Nextdoor's former CEO, Nirav Toila, is a bit of a controversial figure, to say the least. I'm not gonna get too much into it because it's a lot, and honestly I was a little confused, and also it doesn't feel super relevant to what Nextdoor is today. But here's the headlines. He arguably ripped off his fellow co-founders while running his previous startup, Opinion. He's got a history of lying. Over the years, he lied about when he graduated from Stanford. He told everyone he graduated in 1995, but in reality, he didn't actually finish his degree until 2005. Feel like that's a weird thing to lie about? Aren't college dropouts and startup founders like all the rage? Or is that only if you drop out of Harvard? And he also stated that he worked at McKinsey as an analyst, which, fun fact, he didn't. Toila was also sued for copyright infringement for the concept of Nextdoor by a former business partner. And in 2014, he was charged with a hit-and-run case where a woman injured her neck and her hand. But moving on, basically, despite all of the shenanigans of Nextdoor's original CEO, Nextdoor had a pretty impressive launch. After beta testing Nextdoor for about a year, the platform finally launched in 2011 with 175 neighborhoods in 26 states. The company became an immediate success with its users. Just 3 years later, Nextdoor had 22,500 neighborhoods on their platform, out of 150,000 estimated neighborhoods across the US. Not bad, not bad. After a few years of Nirav Toila's shenanigans, he stepped down and became a board member. And that's when Nextdoor brought in its newest CEO, Sarah Fryer. CEO Sarah Fryer grew up in Northern Ireland during the Troubles. She witnessed the bombing campaign firsthand and even saw the windows of her family home shatter during the blasts. Despite seeing the worst that humans can really do to one another, she also saw the best of people. The village she grew up in was originally founded by Quakers, who were fierce advocates against segregation and firmly believed that Protestants and Catholics could live side by side without any trouble. Fryer told the Financial Times, "Even with that backdrop, our neighbors, they were still the same people. They were still incredibly involved in our lives, even though they were Catholic and we were Protestant. You could still find ways to be deep friends. Cool, yeah, so this is why they brought in Sarah Friar as the CEO, right? She's seen the worst of people. She sees how people can tear themselves apart through hatred, but she can also see how people can be united by being kind. Seriously, this CEO hire was such good branding. She eventually went to Oxford, and after college, her first job was as a mining analyst for McKinsey in South Africa during the breakup of apartheid. Wow. After that, Friar spent more than a decade working as a tech-focused equity analyst at Goldman Sachs during the dot-com bubble and through the 2008 crisis.
That's rough, buddy.
She eventually befriended her mentor, Mark Benioff at Salesforce, after pissing him off by putting a sell rating on Salesforce's stock. You know, how the rest of us also make friends. She eventually went on to become a senior VP of finance and strategy at Salesforce, then became the CFO of Jack Dorsey's Square for quite a few years, and by 2018, she became the CEO of Nextdoor. Okay, let's take a look at the money. Nextdoor raised $686 million in July and is now valued at $4.3 billion. This is a pretty nice increase from their $2.17 billion valuation back in 2019. I think it's pretty safe to say that the pandemic caused a lot of explosive growth for our nosy neighbors. Now that should make their investors pretty happy. But what's really gonna make them happy is the fact that they're planning on going public via a SPAC with Khosla Ventures. SPACs, also known as special purpose acquisition companies, are basically shell corporations that are designed to help private companies go public without filing a traditional IPO. If all that was gibberish for you, don't worry, you're not alone. This is very new-ish in the stock market world right now. SPACs are fake companies, kind of, made by wealthy investors that help startups go public on the stock exchange without having to deal with all of that, pesky paperwork and oversight. It was previously a really little used tool, people didn't really use to make SPACs, and they've really blown up recently. I highly suggest you attempt to Google. So is it bad that Nextdoor is doing this? Maybe. Is it good? I hesitate because I don't really think that SPACs are that great of an idea, but Nextdoor says that they are hoping that going public is going to give them the cash to help grow their user base substantially and help the monetization process for small businesses on the platform. So we'll see what happens. Okay, let's break into the business model, guys. Let's see if these guys are actually making any money. Like so many other social media companies, Nextdoor makes money by ads, ad revenue. The works. Now, they have broken up their ad revenue into 3 different categories: sponsored posts, local deals, and neighborhood sponsorships. Sponsored posts are exactly what you think they are: ads that are integrated into Nextdoor's platform that are paid by large brands and local larger businesses. Local deals is designed for local small businesses who want to give out coupons and discounts to customers in their communities, and it's also designed to help customers support their local businesses. Neighborhood sponsorships allow local service providers to promote themselves on the site.
Nextdoor generated annual revenues of $123 million in 2020, up 49% from the year before. However, they're still currently not profitable.
So I'm a little skeptical of that. I've never been the biggest fan of startups hemorrhaging cash. But at the same time, I do think there are points in a company's life where spending cash in order to grow substantially bigger revenues can be really, really critical to whether the company is going to become a superpower or not. And I'm also really confident in CEO Sarah Friar. She just seems so impressive to me. She's incredibly smart. She's worked at some of the most incredible companies in the world, and I think she probably knows what she is doing better than I do at the very least. So we'll see. I'm open to anything. At this moment, I think that Friar probably has this under control, but yeah, with the SPACs and not making a profit makes me nervous, that's all. Back to the video. Nextdoor is now in a third of American households and has over 60 million monthly active users. Now, compared to Facebook, this is nothing. Facebook has 2.8 billion users around the world. But the interesting thing about Nextdoor is the customers seem pretty sticky, meaning that the users are really engaged with the platform and continue to come back to it. I would say the number one thing that you want in a platform, if you're working in social media, is engagement. There's a reason why TikTok is slowly taking over the world. It's because everybody is there every day watching videos all the time. So the fact that their users are really sticky and use the platform really regularly is pretty good news. However, what makes Nextdoor most interesting to me is their intense growth that they experienced during the pandemic, and also how the platform has been handling racist comments from its users. Hateful comments, racist comments, homophobic, like Facebook. Nextdoor as a company really prides itself on having curated a kind community. So much so that their IPO ticker is going to literally be kind. However, its users make it difficult for them to maintain that kindness. Unlike most of its social media rivals, Nextdoor actually has a page on anti-racism and has been taking some action. They have started building some tools to try to stop or persuade their users to not post hate speech on the platform. And they've also taken down a feature that allowed users to report things directly to the police on the platform in an effort to try to stop racial profiling. How are they trying to stop users from posting racist things on the platform? Well, they've created a scanner that will scan anybody's posts for specific phrases. The ones that they mention on their anti-racist page include Blue Lives Matter and All Lives Matter. And then they have like a pop-up that attempts to educate the users and tries to ask them to use a different word choice, which is interesting. According to Nextdoor, they were able to bring down the amount of hate speech by 75%. However, if you look at YouTube comments on other videos about Nextdoor, you'll see a whole lot of people complaining about all the censorship. So, is it effective or have they just left? Maybe both? I'm not sure. But yeah, can you imagine if Facebook put that much of an effort in trying to stop racism on the platform? Okay, granted, I firmly believe that employees at Facebook are really trying to, stop that. However, a certain Zuckerberg, really, you can do better, dude. Do better. However, one thing that Nextdoor did during the pandemic, which was actually really sweet, was building something called the help map. Now, this help map allows users to identify basically different communities, different individuals who are in need, and where people can donate money, items, or assistance in any way. In fact, Nextdoor actually partnered with Walmart to help assist those in need with essential items. If you're thinking, wow, that's super random, why would Nextdoor partner with Walmart? It's actually not. CEO Sarah Fryer is on the board at Walmart. She's also on the board with Slack, and yet really seems to be a lack of communication there. That was a really dumb pun. I hope you enjoyed that. Okay, guys, enough with the fun facts. Here is what I think. In theory, I like the idea of Nextdoor, but in practice, I'm not sure that it works. But, with the loss of public spaces across the country, it's harder than ever to really meet and get to know your neighbors, especially depending on where you live. And the concept of having a place where everybody can gather and ask questions and introduce themselves and share heartwarming stories does seem really nice. But in practice, it just seems super weird. Everybody gets political really quickly, which, considering how we're living now, makes sense. And it really just feels like another place where boomers and, some older Gen Xers can go yell at clouds and yell at kids to get off their lawn. That being said, I do think their CEO, Sarah Fryer, is amazing. Seriously, I think that's the conclusion of the video. Sarah Fryer is cool. The platform is super easy to use, users love it, and the team seems pretty organized and ready to go. I think Nextdoor has a lot of potential, and I think they could become really big, especially if they keep focusing in on helping small businesses. I think that's a great area for them to focus on, and I think it is a great way for especially like plumbers or people working in services, roofers, real estate agents, whatever, to get clients. I think it's a great way to connect with people who are looking and searching for specific things like that. And so I don't know that I like the platform, but do I think it's going to be financially successful? Yes. Do I think it's going to become one of the biggest platforms of all time? No. I think it's going to be a niche product that's going to continue to exist and grow over the years. Is that fair? You know, it's like Snapchat, only for old people. I think it makes a lot of sense if you are moving to a new town and need to find some new resources or things like that, or if you've purchased your first home and you're trying to figure out how to repair things, or if you're trying to get to know a new neighborhood. But is it my favorite place on the internet? No, it's not. And that's okay. It is its own thing. And you know what? There are potentially 60 million other people who would disagree with me and say that it is their favorite place on the internet, and that's cool. They can do that. And then the rest of the 2.8 billion of us can just complain about Facebook all the time. It all works out. So my final verdict on Nextdoor: CEO Sarah Friar is cool. I believe in her. I think she's going to do great things. And I think that if anybody can make Nextdoor succeed, both financially and with potentially stopping its racism problems, she might be the one to do it. But I don't know that they're going to be the next Google. They could be. Maybe I'm completely wrong about this. Maybe they're going to transform. I will say this. I think if they could get the hate speech on the platform to not be as big of an issue, that they could do well. I think they're going in the right direction though. I think that would make a really big difference in my evaluation, honestly. Yeah. Thank you so much for watching. I would love to know what you think, especially because I think Nextdoor is a fairly controversial in some ways, or not completely controversial. It's kind of uncool, if that makes sense. It is uncool, especially for those really cool Gen Zers who I am just not. Millennials, we're so old now. But I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like this video, please consider liking, commenting, subscribing, all of that stuff. All of that is going to help boost the algorithm for me, which is going to help me, in the end, become a better YouTuber. So I post videos every Tuesdays and Thursdays about startups, tech, the whole works, blah, 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 venture capital. So if you're interested in that, seriously, subscribe. I could use a few of those. All right, thank you so much, guys. Bye. SPACs, also known as Special Acquisition Corporation. Special purpose, I forgot special purpose. I forgot the purpose of the SPAC. And also, what's the local petty gossip that I should know? Yeah, I'm old, guys. I moved to a suburb. And I think my favorite thread has been this one guy who is personally insulted by this specific Dairy Queen, which he believes is overcharging him when he goes to that Dairy Queen. And then the comments are like, that would never happen at my neighborhood Dairy Queen. And it's like, what is going on here? Oh my God, I left New York.